Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Bogey, Michael Kahn, Sarah Griffiths, Rob H, Ben White, Maximum Gravy, Austin Whitsitt, John Kays, Tommy Swagnuts, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bosnail, Maris, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Cheese and bread and milk, and it all adds up. Tastes
Yeah,
good.
if you grill them just right with butter, then take away their their taste, the onion taste. Yeah.
Mic check.
Hello.
Did I make a mistake? Am I on Ballbusters?
No.
Oh, I heard the talk about food. I figured I might be in the wrong place.
Nah. Hey John. Hey Righteous. Hey Steve. Hey Trader.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Morning.
Morning.
Is everything okay with Clover?
Same as it was. No difference.
So, like, what's the next step, if you don't mind my asking? Nothing, or you just...
Take her to a consultant. Figure out what's wrong with her.
Okay.
At the moment, it's just tracking what's happening, writing down how long the seizures last, and my wife got a video, which I think I shared on one of the Skype chat forums. So towards the tail end, she caught a video of it, which they asked her to do at the hospital.
That can't be easy as a parent to go through.
I don't know. I've got to deal with it. It's not my problem. You know what I mean? In the respect that it's not affecting me directly. It's her problem, as in she's got to deal with it directly. It's stressful for her. So the worst I can do is stress about it or fret about it or react the way I did the other day when I made the video about it, which is to say panic and react badly. It just makes things worse. So
Well,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
my point.
we're powerless. We're powerless in these situations. We are. We just got to face it. We don't have any power in these situations.
Yeah, that's my point. Like they're your kids. You want to protect them. You want to keep them safe. But like the best thing you can do is to like not show any feeling whatsoever. That's gotta be hard.
yeah, but there we go. Such is life.
On the bright side, I solved the Fermi paradox.
Oh yeah.
You know what the Fermi paradox is?
Vaguely.
Yeah. So like, if the sky is an ever-expanding universe with extraterrestrial life and evolution, then there is no paradox.
Say it again. There's no paradox because...
Well, if we don't live in a heliocentric universe with an ever-expanding, ever-expanding universe with evolution causing life to form, then there's no paradox.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. I thought you were working within their paradigm for a moment. Obviously not.
Yeah, it's only a paradox if you believe you live in a heliocentric universe.
Exactly. Well, yeah, then you have.
I'm sure they won't accept that answer, but it is solved.
Doesn't it have to do with something with aliens, though?
Yeah.
I don't think it's for exactly the expanding universe. It's for aliens, but somehow to
Hold
do
on.
with aliens.
Do you believe you can live on a light in the sky?
It's not what it's suggesting though. It's extraterrestrial. What's terrestrial?
No, it's has to do with the lights in the sky.
Does it?
There's presupposition that
You mean
why don't we see alien civilizations in the ever-expanding universe is the Fermi paradox.
is terrestrial like the ground?
No, that's more ground, not the ground.
Let me look it up. Terrestrial. Terrestrial.
It could be any ground, right? I mean, can't Mars be terrestrial? It doesn't
Well,
have
look
to
at
be
this.
Earth, right?
Look at this. Of, on, or relating to the Earth is terrestrial.
That's why extra,
Yeah.
not of
Extra
more than
terror.
Earth.
Extra.
Okay. What does extra terror mean?
More than Earth.
Right. And what do we currently call Earth?
You're working within the heliocentric
No, I'm
paradigm
not.
now.
No, I'm not. Earth, for me, what is it? It's the amount of land I know exists currently. So what would extra terror, loosely translated as extra land, be? Well, it'd be the land, if there was any, if there is any, beyond the horizon. Not necessarily out in space as a heliocentric description. Now, I think the word they use, I just had a quick glance, and the word I found was universe. Well, that's still inclusive of the stuff beyond the horizon. Now, personally, I think it's highly likely, as opposed to highly unlikely, and that's probably why propaganda like this exists in the first place. To get you to focus without necessarily inferring it, without necessarily implying it. You can take the inference yourself. You have.
I object to your definition of extraterrestrial, as it assumes that if you don't know it exists, it doesn't exist.
No, it's not assuming it. I'm saying I don't know either way. You don't know what you don't know, but I don't assume it doesn't exist as a result of that. I didn't suggest that. Quite the opposite, if I'm honest. I think it's likely to exist.
If it does exist, then it's not extra. It's just
extra to what we know currently. It is extra. Look, we can bandy words all day about whether it's extra or not. If you don't know it exists, right? If you've got a plate full of peas and there happens to be another plate left in the microwave that you're unaware of, when you finish your peas, you've had all your peas. When someone says there's more in the microwave, you're not going to say, well, they weren't really extra. They always existed. Yeah, they did. But they're extra compared to what you've currently got on your plate. Well, what we've currently got on our plate, in somehow literal terms, the plate that is the Earth that we're standing on, the flat plane, well, there could be more than is currently on our plate. And that's extra as far as I'm concerned. Now, I said I wouldn't bandy words, and I've just bandied words about it, but there we go, that's life.
Well, it's just, someone would have to know if there is. right?
Or know that there's been stuff
hold
found
on.
before. So if we just stop
there-
looking, go on.
If there is extraterrestrial life, then someone would have to know because that life would have to know.
Yeah.
So then it wouldn't be extra.
So you don't like my plate of peas in the microwave analogy then?
Well, no, it's built upon you knowing, but that's not what the context of the question is about. Why doesn't anybody know?
Because if, for the sake of argument, which is documented in history, regardless if you believe the narratives or not, we have, in recent history, found new land, right? So therefore, if you imply that logic and go, well, if people just keep finding it, we're not going to keep control of them because the land gives us the power. So if we just sort of close it off in a way that stops them wanting to look for any more, they won't find any more, like we've found in the past. Now that I can tie into the current narrative, like it or lump it. The fact remains, how much we have got is how much we have got. And if there's extra to that how much we have got, and we don't know about it, that's extra. Discovered or undiscovered. Now, if you want to take that logic further to, well, it's not rendered yet, I'll buy that. Fine.
No, you can't go there because extraterrestrial life is what they're talking about. So these civilizations, they know. If they're a civilization, they know, so it has to be rendered. So that's unacceptable as a logical premise.
And does the quantum aspect of it not allow for itself? I don't know the Fermi paradox that well. Let's have another look at it. God, I wish I knew this better. I'm having to look at it on the fly. Chain of reasoning. Here we go. Oh, bloody hell. There are billions of stars in the Milky Way. You're right. I give up.
Yeah, I solved the Fermi paradox. You're welcome.
If I'd have understood it better and not been so cocky, I probably wouldn't have lost so quickly the moment I started looking up what it really is. Yeah, they're looking for life on stars and lights in the sky, and you can debunk it. Yeah, that's it. Well done. Kudos. Yeah, absolutely correct. If you want to assume that the lights in the sky have got a physical presence to them, and based on that, is it the Drake equation where they say it's absolutely going to be the case that there's going to be life out there? Well, mathematically, in a heliocentric model, that might be the case, but we're not, so it's not. Well done.
Don't mess with John.
But there's a lot of things like this that fall if you just apply a certain aspect of logic to the narrative that these paradoxes sit within. And you go, well, that's no longer a paradox. I'm just paraphrasing what John's pointed out to us, but it's good. You know, if you don't have a certain aspect that's causing the paradox true anymore, then it's no longer a paradox. The whole thing's benign, right, John? This whole thing's nonsense.
Right. Yeah, the supposition it's built on is proven false. You don't have to work, it's no longer a paradox. There's no longer billions of possible civilizations above your head.
Yeah, I agree. And I like talking about the fact that the extra terror bit is often misinterpreted, and the fact that I got it wrong within the Fermi paradox. I did disclaim that I didn't know it very well. Excuses. Sorry, go on.
There's a lot of paradoxes within heliocentrism that they answer with absurdity. Like I think Brahe brought up a paradox about what they claimed the stars was, and then he said
that's one of my favourite. Oh no, that's one of my favourite. There's a whole narrative about him and his assistant and how this information came to light. But in essence, Brahe looked at the heliocentric model and went, well, they'd have to be enormous. I mean, they'd be giant, stonking enormous, like exponentially bigger than our own sun at the scale that we currently think it is. I mean, it'd be ginormous. And now you can type in how big is Betelgeuse. Just type that in if you happen to be listening to this and you want to see what I'm talking about. You don't already know. How big is Betelgeuse? Type that into any search engine or, in fact, Google, YouTube, and see what comes up. And they'll show you an ever-increasing scale from Earth to the Sun to all the different stars and show how they are exponentially much, much bigger than our own sun, which is described as being physically enormous to begin with. So, in other words, they took Brahe's narrative, or objection, sorry, and turned it into the narrative.
I got a question for John.
I really don't have a lot of answers, Neil, but go ahead.
John, you seem like a very intelligent guy. How come you did not figure out you can't have gas pressure without a container? How did it get by everybody? This one thing will drive me freaking crazy. How does this slip by everybody?
Well, if you think you're measuring Earth as a sphere, it just has to be a natural consequence of measuring Earth to be a sphere. Don't understand it, but then again, you accept a lot of things as a heliocentrist that don't make sense.
But that's what I'm saying. You said there's a lot of foolish stuff in the helios, whatever you said, paradoxes. So, like, what? I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's why did it take so long for people to come to this understanding? And how did we come to this understanding? How did it start, Flat Earth? How did this movement that we're in right now, like, did somebody whisper it to somebody?
I actually have a theory about that. There's two, I guess, counter opposing ideas that I think could be true. One, it's a slow leak, like Nathan's mentioned before. And then the other one is that, it's a consequence of information exchange between intelligent beings.
There is a third one, which is to say that if you know those two prior examples to be true and you're in control, then if you're going to prevent people disseminating this information in a way you don't want it disseminated, but you also need to keep it alive and under your control so you can present it to the people in the way you want to present it whenever you want to present it, just to keep it alive to be ridiculed. Because if it dies completely, people will discover it by accident and forget that they're supposed to be ridiculing it immediately. That could also be problematic. So you not only need to keep the narrative of heliocentrism in the mind's eye of everybody with constant bombardment of propaganda, but you also need to keep the idea that you're suppressing out in the mainstream to a certain extent, so that only a certain level you're aware of its existence, but aware of how stupid it is, so that people's instinctive reaction to it is to ridicule it. Now, where do we come in? Well, we come in every so often in waves that are potentially controlled up, like I'm describing, so that it can come out and then be suppressed by the people who ridicule it, keeping that idea alive. Oh yeah, do you remember back in the early 2010s when people started to assert the Earth was flat? Oh yeah, I remember those idiots too. Now, if they don't remember that they're supposed to be calling them idiots, then they won't remember how stupid flat Earth is to ridicule it immediately. So that, as opposed to controlled release, it's more of a controlled opposition. You just keep it under your control, and that certainly seems to be the case. So there you go. There's my third option. Which is only an issue if you want to convert the masses, and unless you intend to do as the people who you are bracing against have done, which is to take the control that they desired from the masses, then what's in it for you? Does it ever result in, some massive gain by disseminating the individual and information base that they don't want in the first place? Or are instinctually, because they've been brainwashed, bracing against in the first instance if they hear it? What's in it for you? I mean, I can understand in the big scheme what's in it for them when they control people with the heliocentric model, but what's in it for you other than realisation for yourself? Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I was about to say, yeah, do you want to be a new priest, a new guru? Do you want, what do you want? It's really a question, isn't it?
Exactly.
No, that's Bob Nodell.
Well, without mentioning any names, some people do want to become the new high priest of the paradigm, worldview, model, whatever. They want to be that next guy. Now, somebody who has a really good handle on this is Thrice 8 Hermes. Now, he's described it in the same words, actually, when describing how the next man's got another model for you to follow and reify. Admittedly, when he was making the example, he's talking politically, but it doesn't matter. It's exactly the same principle, political or otherwise, and arguably the heliocentric model is political, as Anthony's managing to draw the connections to. Not that we'll get into that particular connection, but the point is the same. A model's a model. Following a man with a model and a worldview and a way and all the rest of it is meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Well, if you fall out of the paradigm that you're in heliocentrism and just fall straight into some other guru telling you about azimuthal equidistant projections and lights that are at certain distances that you can measure that are floating around in a dome that you've never seen, then you're already on a road to ruin, because that person will eventually form a new paradigm and turn it into something like the heliocentric system, with the only purpose being the same as the original boss's purpose, which is to keep control of you.
Nathan, do you not think it's above our mathematicians to make the stars close or far away as we need them?
Spoken to Winston while he was being tortured in 1984. Precisely correct. So Winston's being
but
told...
that was just a book, right?
Well, Winston's being told that the mathematicians that the government own and have trained and have educated within the structure of the education system are now easily capable of making the stars close, and equally easily capable of making them far away, if they so choose or are so instructed. And the people, well, they'll believe whatever they want, whatever they're told to believe. It doesn't matter what you think the stars are. Our mathematicians can make them close if they need to be close. So they're close now, and you better understand that they're close now, because we said they are. That's the point of what the torturers
Hey,
said.
Nathan.
The world's whatever I say it is.
Oh, with the sun, though, doesn't it need to be a certain size to give off a certain amount of energy to create all the, life that's on Earth? And right? Doesn't it have to be a certain size, or can it be small and still carry out the same function the sun has?
No.
I have an answer to that.
You have this concept of like a light bulb and how much light it will give out based on how many watts it's got available. Well, what is this? What's the sun again? What is it? So that we know that it needs to be a certain distance to give us a certain amount of energy. What precisely is it, pray tell?
It's basically our the life giver. It's what gives us life. Without the sun, we wouldn't have all our cycles and everything else. We wouldn't have summer, winter, fall, spring. We wouldn't have anything without it. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, great description of what the sun seems to do. But what is it?
Yes, what is it?
well, according
that's
to
what
the
the light does.
heliocentric model, it's a nuclear power device.
Yeah, unlucky for them.
Cool story.
Exactly. Cool story, bro.
I know, right?
Hold on. That's what the light does. You described what the light does. The sun is an apparent source of that light. That's all it is, as far as we can tell. Can't ascribe any kind of physical attributes to it, like being the source of the light, only the apparent source.
Well, where else are we getting all this? Well, we see what the sun does when it comes up. It creates. I mean, you can see everything starting to move with the heat that it brings, and just generates. Things are buzzing.
Right.
Things are moving. Every morning when you wake up, you see it. Things get started again.
You're ascribing that to the sun. It's the light. Now, is the light the cause of that, or is the sun? And is the sun what creates
It's
that
both.
light?
Well, it's what the sun does. Yes, it brings light. Just a more powerful source than, say, your light bulb, but it's the same thing.
Now, I've seen light in the day without the sun in the sky. I ain't saying that it ain't there when I can't see it. But if it's just apparent, then that's what it means.
No, it's not apparent. I mean, you can feel a direct sunlight ray hitting you. You can feel that strength, like,
Yeah, but
and
you don't
just
know what
stand
it
out.
is. That's what they're saying. You're just
Yeah.
But we
describing
know it has to
what
be
it does.
something.
Sure,
though,
exactly. You're
Neil.
describing what it does again and again and again.
I know, but it has to be something because it can't be anything, or it can't be nothing. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
so tell us what it is. I agree, but we don't know.
Well, we
That's
know
the
what
problem.
we know what it is by what it does.
How so?
Without it, we wouldn't have everything we have on Earth.
How do you know the sun's not a consequence of the light and not vice versa? I want to know that.
We don't. In the same vein, the sky itself.
Exactly.
We
Because
know
God
we
said
must.
He put it in.
We know we must have containment, but to assert the sky is said container, and therefore we must know certain physical attributions it must have, is false, because we don't know what it is. Now, that means I can't start ascribing things simply because I've experienced them here, because I haven't experienced that there, and I don't know what that there is. So, the same principle applies to people who say, well, it's a dome, because it's got to be a container. Okay, show me the dome then. Well, I can't show it you. Well, how do you know it is then? You don't. You know we have containment. We must, because we're breathing. The gas is not escaping, so therefore we must be contained. But saying we must be contained does not tell you what the sky is, and likewise, telling you what the sun's effects are, like containment with gas pressure, doesn't tell you what the sun is.
So for us to know what something is, what are the qualifications for that?
Tangibility.
So something nearby, something that you can reach out and touch.
Exactly.
Perfect, Nathan. Tangibility. Perfect answer.
Well, hey, don't they have those probes that reached out and touched the sun? Like they
Reach
smashed
out and
some.
touch faith. No, they didn't. That's just a total lie.
That's such a good song. Maybe that guy was a flat earther. There's
No,
a bunch of songs that are like that can be flat earth songs,
Reach out and touch faith. Is that what he says? I think so. In any event,
Yeah,
it's in Narnia. This whole story of sending stuff to the heliocentric sun. No, not at all. No. Likewise, nobody's going to test how much gas is being used in that lamp in Narnia. No one's going there through the wardrobe to test that.
What do you mean? It's a big gas giant, Nathan.
Yeah, it's just a gas lamp in the middle of the entrance from Narnia's wardrobe, right? I mean, surely it's got a pipe somewhere.
Well, according
Right.
to Zanuck, the sky has a valve, so maybe the sun has a pipe.
According to Narnia lore, there is definitely plumbing for gas in Narnia. The witch just happened to take it upon herself to plumb that gas line in to the lamp in the middle of nowhere. So there you go. It's part of the law. So says
Right.
Narnia lore.
How do you prove that the witch isn't capable of causing nuclear fusion strong enough to power that lamp? I don't think you can.
You can't disprove that. That's correct. What are you going to do, Neil? Disprove that witches in Narnia can't just essentially create gas from nothing and have it not even need a line. You disprove that. Go ahead, Neil. You won't. You can't. It's impossible to disprove.
Yeah, that's where my son is at now. He gives me a bunch of things and he tells me to disprove. Prove me wrong. It's funny lately, though. It really is.
Yeah, that's a trigger for me now when someone says prove me wrong. Like my ear kind of just starts itching and I kind of get a crank in the back of my neck like I'm cringing, It's like, oh,
Why?
God.
Why?
Because I recognize the burden of proof reversal pretty
Perfect.
easy now.
Yeah. What have I? Did I claim to make about that? Was I making claims about tectonic activity? My bad. Obviously, I spend all of my day making claims about tectonic plates now, don't I? What is it you say? You want me to answer a question about something I've never claimed? Well, that sounds like something you've got to claim there, my friend. Tectonic plates? Yeah, I'm not claiming that. You are. You don't recognise that and you want me to justify it? Yeah, that's definitely a burden of proof reversal fallacy that I'm hearing now. How do I explain? Prove me wrong. What are you talking about?
That was classic, by the way. I listened to it yesterday. That was freaking classic. It's like a throwback of the old days when they come on and they do that.
Smart
I don't know,
ones
it
know where it's going
crap out
immediately. But one question was put to him. He had the entire reign of subject matter, which he instructed. And then from that point on, he was only asked one question. What is a tectonic plate? And I can only imagine he must have known that was going to end badly because he refused to answer even that.
Yeah, they don't really like the Socratic method when they're trying to push bullcrap, do they?
No, you explain the nuclear fusion that we claim the sun is on a flat Earth. Explain that. What? Explain the nuclear fusion reaction sun on a flat Earth. I don't claim a nuclear fusion reaction sun. I don't care. Explain it. That's what I did, but with tectonic plates. I don't care, make any claims about it. Just explain it. Explain it now on a flat Earth.
Because if you can't explain it, then my crappy model is true.
Exactly. Because I can explain it.
Answer
really,
my
really well.
question. Answer my question. Now.
You really need a guru talking like that, Neil.
But that's the other misconception. I've asked a question, so therefore you're going to be giving me an answer for it. No, we'll rip apart the faulty logic in your question. No, you're going to answer it. Oh, right, you're in charge here, are you, Dumbo? No, you're not.
You think that you are king in your show.
Well,
You
no, at
think
the
that
moment
you
you
are
just...
king in your show.
How dare you run your show like it's yours? What do you think you are, in charge?
Well, at the moment you disprove their model, right? Like at the moment you point out their fallacious logic, they're trying to ascribe that guru position to you. That's why they're demanding questions be answered now, you know?
Yeah, in some ways I do take it as a compliment. It's like, oh, right, am I your guru now? Am I the person that must be giving you answers? Well, yes and no. They want to pull apart those answers, but they're appealing to them in the manner of a guru so that they can say, no, it's not right. My model's still right. Look, mine does it better. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link excuse me, in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Eli, Neil, Refracted Curvature, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
How are you?
Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, Happy New Year. So when this is being
morning.
recorded / going out live, this is New Year's Eve. So a Happy New Year, one and all.
And in Australia, they've just gone through it. So it's already happening.
Just 2 years ago, there was an argument constructed that undid the heliocentric wizardry for a lot of people, even one of our very own here, John, who thought that the horizon, at least of all things, was geometric. And that was debunked by the Black Swan. So happy anniversary, the second year of the Black Swan.
That's right. Thanks to festivities, there won't be a Ballbusters tomorrow, which I was a bit gutted about. But there we go. That's just the way it goes. It's landed right on New Year's Day. But that was when the Black Swan argument was first released to the public. So obviously it had been discussed prior to that and formulated into the Modus Tollens argument. A presentation was put together and then it was literally released 1st Jan 2020. So it's been 2 years, pretty much within a few hours, that this argument's been out now.
So I was right. I said they're never going to get it. And there's a lot of people that still don't get it.
I said it very straightforward. They will take forever. Like, it's not going to be any period of time. It's going to be forever.
But do you think they don't, or are they doing it deliberately? They have to know by now.
No. It's neither.
So,
to understand the Black Swan is to understand that you do not live and cannot live on a sphere radius 3959, and that the horizon is not Earth curve. Now, if you understand that your geometry for any assertion of Earth as a sphere requires a geometric derivation based on the horizon to give you R, you know that you cannot infer R because you can no longer measure it. And if you can't measure R to assume R, you can no longer justify presuppositions of an Earth radius 3959. That cannot be justified anymore. So if you understand the Black Swan, you can't be believing in a sphere anymore.
that's right. I forgot. You have to relinquish your belief in the sphere by accepting that. Correct.
Let's go over it. So if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. The distance to the horizon in the Black Swan imagery is beyond the geometric limitations of an Earth sphere radius 3959. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere radius 3959, and the horizon is not Earth curve. Two years. That said, you are a perfect example, John. You're here as a direct result of the Black Swan. And like with Nielsen ratings, you represent a certain number of people who will be in exactly the same position.
Well, it's really about measurement, because you can't beg the question if you can't measure. You know, it's not so big a deal when you beg the question if you've already measured something. But if you're going to throw the measurement out by saying it's refracted or whatever excuse you have for it, you're throwing the measurement away with it. You know, so that's the part that they don't get when they are crying refracted or what other excuse that they think of. They're just trying to figure out why it's not geometric, then you can't measure it anymore.
Earth curve we're talking about, audience. We're talking about not being able to measure the claim that we have Earth curve obstructing buildings and boats into the distance. The horizon is claimed to be Earth curve, and we've debunked that. The argument's called the black swan. I gave you a rendition a few moments ago. The Earth is not a sphere. The horizon is not Earth curve. In the last 12 months, we've had the age of the Sextant Declaration in 2021, and that declaration has become because of a devastating part of any argument that requires an angle measurement from the ground, ever. Any angle measurement from the ground ever will require that the ground is flat. That the plane that you are taking as the assumed ground you are standing upon will be flat. Not only will it be flat, it will be flat for both sides of the argument. That would be sphere-believing Muppet and flat earth realist. If you want to include them, anti-flat earth Muppets. For everybody, they've got to make an angle measurement which requires two straight lines. So you can't have a curved adjacent. You must have a flat baseline. So if you ever hear anybody from the globe side talking about angles, ever, like I did yesterday with Charles, Flat Earth Math. Welcome back, by the way, Charles. You were asked two very specific questions about the claims you made with chemo on your show yesterday. You were asked, number 2, how did you measure the angle to the sun with a curved adjacent? The first question he was asked was, if you're going to claim in response to the black swan as laid out by chemo, that the horizon is refracted, as you indeed did, where did you get the R value for your atmospheric refraction, which is what you are claiming, Charles? That atmosphere has got an R value that the light is claimed to be bending on. So, where did you get that R value? Bearing in mind that you've just bent the line that would have been necessitated to acquire geometry values of R. So just try and bear that in mind, Charles, that you're now bending the very line that you would be using to measure the R value with your refraction that you don't have R for. So, Charles, where'd you get your R value for your atmospheric refraction? And how did you measure an angle to the sun, as you suggested in an example to chemo, with a curved adjacent? I'm definitely going to need answers to those questions, Charles. Welcome back.
Well, he can just go to Google Maps or Google Earth and look at the actual measurements, and they accept that it's all flat. There's a straight line baseline to all of that.
There's old ground that's been summarised throughout 2021. So we've got Sleeping Warrior in the chat at the moment. He's saying I don't want to call him the slang name, Blue Marble Science, that he should be removing his video claiming to show gas pressure without a container when he's wheeling in gas pressure in containers. It's fraudulent. It's absurd. And Sleeping Warrior has been banging that same drum through 2021 with Blue Marble Science saying, what are you playing at? You need to get rid of this.
Yeah, to calculate the Earth into a globe, you require a flat Earth.
Right, jump on, Charles. There's a space on the Discord server if you're up and about. He's saying he doesn't use R. Oh, that's where you're wrong, Charles. You obviously don't understand your own heliocentric claims. When you say refraction, you absolutely have atmosphere to contend with, and your rate of refraction will indeed require R if you're asserting anything to do with your atmosphere. So if it's taking place in atmosphere, that's sphere-shaped air, you will and do require R, Charles. I don't use R. Really? Maybe you are measuring actual refraction as opposed to globe refraction, assumed to be taking place in sphere-shaped air named atmosphere. So you definitely need an R. If you're not using R, welcome to Flat Earth there, Charles. You don't need to use R, of course. Light does actually refract, Just doesn't refract in sphere-shaped air at a rate of r that you are claiming you don't need when you're claiming sphere? Yeah, you do. You are very much mistaken, Charles. Obviously, you've lost touch with your own claims.
So his name should be Anti-Flat Earth Math?
It seems he doesn't use R. Well, welcome to Flat Earth then, Charles. If you don't use R when bending light in atmosphere... What about that sphere bit, Charles? Does that atmosphere? Does the sphere bit not need an R, Charles? I thought you were a mathematician. Do you not understand what the sphere bit means? It means you need R, Dumbo. Hello? Yeah, I can educate you on maths too, Charles. You need R for the sphere in the atmosphere that you'll be asserting when you say refraction, my friend. Try and keep up with your own stupid claims.
Maybe his sphere has no R.
He says he's declaring how flat Earth is. He's saying they all work without R. Yeah, welcome to flat Earth, Charles. If you're not using R in atmosphere, then you're on a flat Earth, my friend. What part of that didn't you understand? If you're declaring to my chat stream that you're not using R, then you aren't on a sphere. Because you've got atmosphere. You're not getting it, Charles. There's a sphere in there. It needs an R, you stupid idiot. Moving on.
Yeah,
Feel free to join, Charles. Feel free to join as opposed to chant from the chat. Yeah? There's an open panel daily here, Charles. No invitation required. You can join. Live stream queue will move you in a heartbeat. And you can tell us how about you don't use R, and we'll welcome you to Flat Earth in person. If you're not using R in an atmosphere, then you're not on a sphere, my friend. Welcome to Flat Earth. Third time's a charm.
Good morning,
He's never
guys.
wrong about not using R. Chat says he's never wrong. Well, he's saying he doesn't need R. Well, welcome to Flat Earth. We know. You don't need it, Charles. That's right.
Well, actually, they need it. They don't have it. They try to conceal that they use it. So it's not even that they don't use it. It's just that they're hiding that they're using it because they don't want to be pinned down on not actually having a source for it. A proof.
Well, if you've measured it, why would you try to hide it? I mean...
Yes, exactly.
But how can you ever assert that you're not using it? The moment you say the word sphere, it's a wrap. What are you talking about? How do you not have an R for your sphere that you think you live on?
He's moved over to, I want to debunk a straw man who haven't claimed about how things don't work on a flat plane. All right, well, that's fascinating, Charles. You carry on going around claiming what doesn't work in places while we demonstrate how the heliocentric model's wrong. And that we've debunked your R value. You see, me, I'd be miles more concerned about how your actual faith in a sphere Earth, which we all know you have, is being annihilated. Now, we don't claim any models. Maybe there's something we've claimed that you can take apart, Charles, as opposed to little straw men that you need to burn about how flat Earth doesn't work. Yeah, you dig out one of the claims we've made about how flat Earth does work and tell us how we're wrong, and we'll go from there. Meanwhile, there's plenty of positive assertions about a sphere world. There aren't straw men that you're trying to burn in my chat there, Charles. Yeah? Yeah, there's plenty of positive assertions we take apart. One of them's R. Atmosphere refraction, Charles. That's what happens on a sphere Earth. You're going to need R for that. Your contextualised justification to chemo was sphere. So, Charles, I try and weasel out of it by telling me what you can disprove on a flat Earth when I'm not making any specific claims in this regard. I'm debunking your R value and claim of refraction. Furthermore, you talked about an angle measurement to the sun, didn't you, Charles? Yeah, with chemo. I asked you very specifically from the chat and you pinned it. How'd you get an angle from a curved adjacent?
I know how he did it.
Let's hear it.
He measured it on a flat Earth, and then he presupposed R, even though it's been disproven.
It doesn't need R.
Yeah.
I think Charles does needs R, according to Charles. Nothing he's doing needs R. Yeah, we'd agree. Nothing you do needs R, Charles. Tell me again how you're actually disproving a flat plane while you're not assuming R and not working within the context of the fear-based belief you have in a sphere. Yeah, you keep telling him you're debunking those little straw men will burn really nicely in my chat.
And when when he debunks the angle measurement that's claimed, right, and says that it can't work on a flat Earth or whatever he's going to do, the measurement still utilizes a flat plane. So he's going to have to deny measurement now and geometry.
Well, that's why I'm asking. How does he get these angles that he's talking about with chemo from a curved adjacent? I want to know how he does that. Oh, I see. He prefers calm, nice, one-on-one conversations at his own channel. Name the time, Charles. I'll be there. I'll go on your channel. I'll ask you these questions there as well. I said I'll meet you at any time you like on your own channel, and I'll ask you how you measured an angle with a curved adjacent and where you got R. And you can tell me all about how you'd rather talk about straw men, flat earth claims that no one's making that you can burn. Right, Charles? Or you could just tell me how you measured an angle with a curved adjacent. Yeah? Maybe you could do that from my chat now, Charles. Yeah? I'm asking you now. I asked you yesterday. You've had 24 hours to think about it. How'd you get that angle measurement with a curved surface? Tell us, Charles. You're the mathematician in the chat. Or maybe you want to bitch about how polite we are here. Well, we ask you specifically a geometric-based question about how you can get an angle from a curved adjacent, math man. Come on. Why isn't he joining? Why isn't he joining to tell us? Doesn't he want to rub it in our faces how he can actually measure an angle with a curved surface beneath his feet? Surely this believer in a sphere wants to rub that in our face, right? It's the current hot topic. You're the math man, Charles. Come and rub it in our faces how this mathematical problem solved for a globe. Make them all proud, Charles. Or I'll come and meet you on your channel and you can make them all proud and you can explain to me how you get a curved adjacent there. I don't mind either way.
I bet you he'll say forced horizontal and tangent probably 20 times.
That's what they...
Horizontal.
Tangent? Tangent to what? He'll need R for that. Tangent being a straight line to the horizon. No, he's very specifically told chemo it's refracted. He said it's very close to an R value. Yeah, we'll need to know where you got that value you said it was very close to chemo. Do I need to start trimming these bits out for you, Charles, to remind you what you've claimed to chemo? Yeah, I only tuned in for about 10 minutes. I got about, I don't know, half a ton of gold out of you. You're telling us all about angles being measured and refracted horizons? All right, and they're close to the R that you assumed. Yeah, where'd you get that? To know how close it would be to it. Yeah, we're going to need to know that too, Charles. There's a lot on your plate at the moment. Bearing in mind, these are all claims you actually made on your show that I can just trim out and make damn sure you know you made them, Charles. Maybe you want to burn a few straw men about claims I haven't made. Yeah? Stay in the chat and keep burning them, Charles. Obviously, you're not going to come on this show. We're not polite enough for you. When we ask very specific math-based questions in terms of your sphere Earth belief and its geometry with curved adjacents and how you get angles from them. And if you're using tangents, where'd you get those straight lines from? Given you told chemo how refracted it all is, Charles. These are all very big real problems. Obviously, it's how polite we are that needs to be talked about, though, eh, Charles, right? Or you could just join. Everyone's being asked the same question at the moment, and you're the mathematician in this arena, Charles, so you better join and tell us. Or I'll join you, and you can tell me, there, on your show. Don't mind where I embarrass you, Charles, but I will be embarrassing you.
Wait. So over there, everything is still refracted, but over here they need straight lines. So therefore, they don't come here. Is that what it is now?
I don't care where I meet Charles. I want an answer to this question. He's told chemo the line to the horizon's refracted and very close to the geometric value. Where does he get the geometric value to know how close it is, given that all lines to the geometric sphere edge horizon are bent according to him?
The same R he told us we don't need, or he doesn't need.
Yeah, he definitely does need it.
But he told chemo it's close to that R.
It's the one he doesn't discuss on his show, the lying piece of shit. Charles is a fucking liar. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Now I'm going to call you a liar, Charles. So very close to the geometric value you did discuss on your show and you've now lied about in my chat. You said you didn't discuss it and didn't need it. But yet you asserted to chemo that it was very close to that geometric value you said you don't use on your show. You liar. You're a liar, Charles. Total scum. I've got absolutely no time for you now. I found out you're a complete liar. What do you mean you don't use R on your show? Yeah, you do. The one you said it was very close to the refracted horizon you talked to chemo about? Did you forget you needed that R when you told him that? Did you think you could just lie about it here without anybody noticing? No, you didn't get away with that lie, Charles. We all like an apology from you in the chat, Charles, because you're obviously a coward and not going to come on the show and tell us how you don't need R in your show to be told by Chocolate that you did use it.
You can't assert a sphere without R. I would say that is a antecedent to having a sphere, is having a radius to that sphere.
Sorry, Charles, we'd like to see you claim you don't use R on your show again, so Chocolate can point out again exactly how you did use it in your discussion with Chemo. You're being called a liar by people in my chat and me. Charles, Flat Earth Math is a certifiable liar. Says he doesn't need to discuss or use R in his show. Contextually, it's not required. Yeah, it most definitely is. You used it yesterday within the last 24 hours, you liar. Do you want to tell me again how you don't need it contextually in your show, Charles, you liar? Hello? Liar? They're all liars. Charles is no different. Smug, smarmy, liar.
Same thing with Bob and his circles of equal altitude.
Seem to have gone quiet in my chat, Charles. Earlier you were asserting that you didn't contextually need R. Chocolate's pointed out precisely how you did, making you a liar. Would you like to address that? Obviously only from the coward-based chat, skanking that you're currently doing.
He probably has his speakers turned off now. He just came to preach.
Yeah, he's doubling down. If you scroll up, you'll see that I said, quote, the explorations all over my channel don't use R. Yeah, that's exactly what we're pointing out, Charles. Did you think that by repeating what we're now pointing out to be a lie would somehow save you from the fact that you are indeed needing R and you do indeed use it and have indeed used it with Chemo in the last 24 hours? You stupid liar! Hello?
Explorations of what? The sphere?
Don't be sorry that you upset me, Charles. Be sorry that you're a lying sack of shit. Who, very specifically, and scrolling by for my audience, don't use R full stop. Yeah, you do. What part of you used it to claim that the geometric now refracted horizon you discussed with Chemo was very close? Did you mean it was close to that R value-based horizon that you don't need and don't use and are now lying about, Charles? What part of your lie don't you understand, you smarmy little twat? Do you think I'm upset about it? No, I love showing how big a liar you are when you lie. That doesn't upset me, Charles. It gives me great pleasure to demonstrate what a massive liar you are. You'll lie to my chat stream about how you don't need to use R when you've needed to use it to justify the refracted horizon to Chemo less than 24 hours ago. Hello? Just a liar, Charles. My toddler needs some chocolate milk back soon. Yeah, you run, take care with that toddler. Don't worry about your lies. I'm sure your toddler will grow up to be a liar, like you, Charles. Lying about not needing R when he used it only 24 hours ago on his own stream. I'm sure your toddler will become a liar like you, Charles. Yeah? Go and train him in lies. Good dog.
I think what he's saying is he doesn't use R when he takes measurements on this flat plane we dwell up the top.
Yeah, that's why I welcomed him to Flat Earth, John, when he said I don't need to use R. And I'm like, no, you don't. None of us do. We're taking angle measurements to the sun like you did with Chemo off flat planes. Can't do that with curved adjacent. I've asked him all about it. He's not answered. He's talked about feeding his kid chocolate milk like I need to know. Hasn't explained how he got angles off a curved adjacent. Hasn't explained where he got R. He said he didn't need it. He just lied. And then ran away to deal with his kid, who will also grow up to be a liar, because Daddy's a liar. Yeah, you let me know how my balls taste, Charles, while I accurately describe how you are now nurturing your child to be a liar, because you are one. A demonstrable liar who claims he doesn't need R when he's using it less than 24 hours prior. What a scummy liar. Yeah, I guess your little blighter will just be that apple that won't be falling far from that lying tree now, won't he? Or she. So yeah, I thought we were going to get on to Sleeping Warriors moaning at Blue Marble Science for his gas pressure without a container with 2 containers. Instead, Charles shows up instead, much better. Notice we didn't get an answer to the 2 questions I very specifically gave him. He pinned and I put as a community post. So he's had those 2 questions. He hasn't answered either from my chat.
Is it odd that we talked about him the other day as being one of the first wave of the flat Earth discussion? What was it, a couple days ago? And he came back?
Yeah. But by the same token, whatever wave he's in, he's claiming with his name to be a mathematician. I've asked him a maths question. How long do you need for this maths question, Charles? Is it particularly troubling? Do you need a few more days? How'd you get the angle from a curved adjacent? Where'd you get R for your terrestrial refraction? The one that you didn't need R for when you told Chemo how close to the refracted horizon the geometric one was? You liar. Yeah, that was part of my question. I asked it because you used R and then you just denied needing it. Yeah. Atmosphere, Charles. Yeah, Dumbo. Try and keep up with your own sphere-based claims. Yeah?
You must mean that you measure the angle off of the horizontal and then the rays come in parallel over the curved surface of a sphere with a radius of 3959 that he said he didn't need.
He's challenging anybody to find any lies told from my chat. Oh, I'll tell you the lie. You say you don't need R in your discussions on your channel, yet you were specifically challenged to provide the R that you told Chemo was a very close horizon when refracted to the geometric horizon that it was being refracted based on. You were answering a question based on the black swan, and your answer was refracted. Yeah? Well, that's refracted in atmosphere based on R. Now, either you're stupid and don't understand your claim, in which case ignorance is no excuse, given how long you've been around, or you just can't answer this question, which is to say where you're getting R from. It's a geometric R value, the one that's close to the refracted horizon. Yeah, that's the 5th time I've told you. Who's pointing out where this lie is told is? Oh, that'll be me. Yeah, challenge anybody. I'm doing it right now. You say you don't need R. I say, yeah, you used it in the last 24 hours when you justified the refracted horizon, how close it was. Very close, you said. Yeah? What, to the one based on R? Atmosphere? Yeah? Sphere-shaped air? Yeah, that's going to need an R too.
And even when he claims that the rays are parallel, he's still going to utilize a flat plane to claim to take the angle measurements. So that's a problem.
They're not getting it when they say atmosphere. They are really not getting it.
No,
He gets it. He just knows
he's
that he
answered my
can't
questions
use
from
it.
the chat. It seems it's just he's thick. Sleeping Warrior. Atmosphere does not require a value of R. Sorry, what part of sphere, Mr. Maths, do you not think needs R? Do you think it's atmo square? Because it isn't. It's atmosphere. Here's the bit highlighted from your own fucking words. That bit highlighted, that sphere bit, Charles, you dumb shit. There's the bit that needs R. It's highlighted for you in case you can't read or are thick. There it is. Sphere. The sphere bit in, quote, atmosphere, that needs an R, Charles. Are you retarded? Oh, no. It's you're a liar who's claimed he doesn't need R. So using words with sphere in need to be lied about, not needing R. They don't need R, Charles. What a liar. Either thick as shit, which we know's not true, or a liar. Atmosphere doesn't need R. Oh, right, what about the sphere bit in that atmosphere? That sphere bit don't need R, right, Charles? No, Charles. No. Dealing with thickos who lie.
Yeah, he would have to be a liar if he has any kind of mathematical accreditation at all, right?
I know he's a liar. He's lying about a requirement of R. Yeah, you've got that requirement of R. Charles, you don't have to like it. You can lie about it, but it'll just get you called a liar. You can protest and say it's not a lie because atmosphere don't need R. Yeah, it does. You're just a liar. Now, keep squirming in my chat. You need R. You don't have to like it. Yeah, you know it's how you die. But you definitely need it, Charles. Your lie has failed.
Why didn't he come in? Why is he staying in the chat? Come on in, Charles. Chucky?
Well, the thing is, it's easy to call him a liar at this point. If he's a mathematician like he claims with accreditation from a reputable institution, then he has to be lying at this point. There's no way that he's not aware that a sphere requires a radius value. That has to be a lie.
It is a lie. I'm pointing it out as a lie. He's questioning anybody that can offer him a lie he's told while I tell him about his lie in regards to a requirement of R. He knows we've debunked R, therefore his best form of attack is to claim he doesn't need it while simultaneously declaring it in the words he uses like atmosphere.
Oh, dear.
Did you prefer it was the days that we didn't notice when you said words like atmosphere? And we didn't realise you were begging the question of sphere-shaped air, Charles, that needs an R value, because it's wrapping around a sphere Earth you're claiming, otherwise you wouldn't be saying the damn word. It's part of your presupposition. But you don't need R for that presupposition, right, Charles, you liar? Yeah? Would you prefer we just didn't spot that atmosphere's got a sphere in it? Back in the day, eh? Yeah, those were the days for you. Now it's nothing but constant pummelings from flat earthers, Charles, who specifically ask two questions that get posted up to an entire community of over 20,000 people and posted in your own live stream chat, and you still haven't answered. So, Charles, why is it that we're discussing other matters like your mathematical prowess? Like your teacher status? Why are we discussing that when you've been asked two specific questions? Where did you get R for your refraction in atmosphere that you talked about with chemo that you've now lied about? That's definitely sphere-shaped air that your refraction's taking place in. As discussed with chemo, it's made clear in my question, contextualised as it happened, as it was discussed. And you pinned it. So where'd you get that R, Charles? Lying that you don't need it hasn't worked. My question still stands, Mr. Maths. Your atmosphere, in quotes, has got a sphere in it, and your sphere Earth's definitely got an R value. Where'd you get it? For your rate of R refraction to move the horizon, which is definitely terrestrial refraction, based on R. Yeah, you're not going to lie and weasel your way around that question you still haven't answered by saying you don't bloody need it. That's a total fail and got you labelled a liar, scum. Okay, Charles? And your lying child that you're nurturing, who will also be raised as a liar? Yeah? You are a liar, Charles. That will be pointed out when I speak to you in person, when you gather the courage to invite me on your show, or come on mine. Either way, I will be branding you a liar. And every time you assume that R value while I'm there, I'll be pointing out your lie. Understand me, Charles? Liar? I'll be the one branding you, asking my chat who's going to call you a liar, and give an example. I'm doing it now. Liar Charles Flat Earth Math. And his lying little brat, who'll grow up to be a liar just like Daddy. You understand me, Charles? I want to say this to you in person, so when you get to the point where you use R, I can point out just how big a liar you are, verbally. And then you can smirk for me, Charles. Maybe point out how impolite I am when I tell you you're a fucking liar. Tell me that my swearing's impolite when I point out with examples of your lies, Charles. I'll smirk too, as I berate you for your lies and deceit. My toddler's named Mercury. Yeah, because you've got an R belief and a heliocentric Mercury, right? That's why you've named your toddler Mercury. Because you believe in a sphere with an R value you simultaneously deny, eh, Judas? Meanwhile, you also talked about an angle. That was my second question. You haven't answered that either, Charles. How long do you need for these maths-based questions about measuring angles? You talked about measuring an angle to the sun with chemo. Now, I want to know how you did that, given that your assumption is the ground beneath your feet's curving away from you. How did you measure the angle with a curved adjacent? My question's clear. You pinned it. I posted it to my community. Now, where's my answer? How'd you get that angle from a curved adjacent, Charles?
Has he answered anything?
He
Any
lied
question
about
has
his
he
requirement for R, which he definitely does need.
Sad.
Sad. Happy days. I love calling first wave anti-flat earthers liars, especially when they've got a prideful status as a teacher, because having some flat earther give stone cold examples of their overt lies, I don't look good. It's not a great image to have a flat earther telling you're a lying sack of shit, which you are, Charles.
Well, if he's asserting he doesn't need a radius to exist on a sphere, is he saying he lives on a flat sphere?
He's telling us what his kid's named. He's not answering where he got an angle for the angle measurement to the sun he was discussing with chemo. He's telling us what his kid's called. Like I care. Couldn't give a crap what your kid's called, Charles. I asked you where you got the angle to the sun from a curved adjacent based Earth that you think you're on.
Why wouldn't you just answer the question instead of bringing your kid into this? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a good question. Why are you telling me about your child when I've very specifically asked you a question that you've seen in your chat, pinned, and I've posted to my community? You're now in my chat without an answer. It's a maths-based question. What's the problem, Charles? Not much of a mathematician. Call yourself a teacher. It's a basic maths question. How'd you measure an angle with a curved adjacent, Charles?
You hit it right in the head. That's the problem, Nathan. He can't.
Well, he's talking about measuring angles to the sun with chemo. I want to know how he did that. Obviously, there's a curved adjacent on a sphere. So how did he do it? All spheres have a radius. Yeah, you think you're on one and you're denying that you need it. So why are you now telling us all about how you do need a radius, Charles? Yeah, now he's posting our argument about how he does actually need an R value. All spheres have got R values. Yeah, we know, Charles. That's how you've been branded a liar, given you denied that you needed it. Hello? Telling us how much you now need it is going to basically prove how big a liar you are, because you're making my point for me from my chat now, aren't you? Telling us that you need a sphere. All spheres have a radius. Yeah, and you know what, Charles? You're a sphere-believing muppet with a sphere claim about refraction moving the horizon, but it's very close to the geometry that all spheres have and you denied you needed. You liar. So thank you for pointing out the other side of your lie, Charles. Well done. Sorry, Charles is now,
really
get this, even
that.
better. You can measure an angle with a curved adjacent just fine. Start with a tangent. What tangent would that be, Charles? Number one, you can't measure an angle from a curved adjacent. That's incorrect. Mathematically incorrect. Number two, start with a tangent. Oh, you'll need an R value for that tangent. So back to the R value you said you don't need. Tangent, that needs an R, Charles. Tangent to a sphere with an R value, Charles. Is this another, you don't need R, it's never required in my discussions? First answer, how'd you get an angle from a curved adjacent? He assumes a tangent that needs an R value. Maybe lie, Charles. Tell us you don't need R for your tangent. So a tangent-based R required then, Charles. Tell me you don't need that R. Lie for me. Lie and say it's not required, you complete clown. Tangent? Yeah, that needs an R, Charles. Where'd you get the R for your tangent? Yeah, that was question one. Why are you assuming a tangent when you haven't given me the R measurement yet? That's another problem. So straight to question two, having not answered question one, and answer to question two presupposes a tangent that needs a fucking R. Where'd you get R? Question one. Shit for brains, Charles. You're going to assume tangents to spheres that you haven't got your R from yet? What kind of fuckwit are you? Question 1, where'd you get R? You're not going to be drawing a tangent to a sphere if you haven't got the fucking R value, you stupid retard. Answer question 1, if you're going to draw a tangent, you're going to need an R. Where did you get it? And don't tell me you don't need it and lie.
Circle jerk.
Yes, circle jerk. I don't need R. It's never required. Going to draw a tangent to a sphere that needs an R value. Let's just pretend I didn't say that I never need it. It's not required for any part of my argument, even though I'm drawing a tangent to a sphere with an R value.
Well, the thing is with the black swan, he's refracted that tangent, so he has a curved tangent now, which is a curved adjacent still.
Yeah, we'll get to that when he gives me his measurement for R. So he's presupposing R to answer question 2 with a tangent to something with an R that he hasn't given us. So when he attempts to actually give us R answer to question 1, we already know he's told Chemo it's refracted. So he's got a straight line, as he. Where's he getting that if he's got all refraction, as he told Chemo? Tangent, yeah, first you're going to need an R, then you're going to need to explain how you've got a straight line to the horizon, given it's refracted, Charles. Remember you told Chemo it's refracted? So that straight line to an R you haven't justified yet. That's a straight line, Charles. You haven't got that. You told Chemo it was close to the geometry that you haven't given us R for and told us you didn't need by way of a lie. So, yeah, you're not going to be drawing any tangents to any spheres you haven't given us an R value for, Charles. What kind of moron are you? So, where'd you get the R value? You're drawing a tangent to a sphere. No, you're not. You haven't got one. It's bent line. You told Chemo how bent it was. And furthermore, you haven't given us the R to be assuming tangents are going to be required. And that doesn't explain anything further than a tangent plane that you've then drawn on a sphere you haven't justified would still be 2 straight lines. So what you're saying is you draw a tangent. So the tangent's what you measure. That's a flat baseline. Tangent to a sphere with an R that isn't justified is just a flat baseline. You haven't justified the sphere underneath the tangent. So what you're saying is you'd like to have a tangent line that you haven't got because it's refracted, but you need a geometric straight line. Okay, well, a tangent's a straight line, but it's only a tangent if you've got a sphere underneath it and an R value to justify it, and you haven't given me that. So what we're left with is a straight line. So you're saying to measure the angle to the sun, you're going to need that straight line, that tangent you described, but it's not a tangent anymore because you haven't got an R value to put a sphere underneath that straight line, Charles. Remember? You told me you didn't need R, so you're not going to be putting a sphere underneath this straight flat line you're calling a tangent. Of course, as soon as we remove the sphere underneath it, and we are going to be doing that because you haven't given me an R value, have you, Charles? Yeah, and you won't be getting one either because you've refracted the line to the horizon to measure it with. But meanwhile, you've justified having a straight line and you've called it a tangent that hasn't got a sphere underneath. So that's a flat baseline. Without your R, you've just got a flat baseline then, Charles. That tangent's not a tangent anymore without a sphere, so flat baseline. Welcome to Flat Earth, Charles. That's right. You'll need 2 straight lines, not a curved adjacent. Saying you've got a curved adjacent and that curved line is actually the sphere-based R-based line, and the angle measurement tool's going to be the tangent line, nothing to do with the sphere underneath. Well, that's not the line underneath the ground that is apparently your sphere belief. What gives?
Who claims the ground at the mountain is curved?
Well, he could use the Eratosthenes method and remove the observer from it altogether and just assume the flat plane and the sticks and shadows.
Well, he's assumed a tangent plane. That's what he's describing when he draws a flat, straight line to a geometric horizon with an R value he hasn't given us. But he's drawn a straight, flat line. That's what tangents are. Unless they don't have a sphere underneath them anymore, then they're just a flat baseline. So he's given us a flat baseline to measure this angle to the sun then. Hasn't justified any sphere underneath the flat baseline, that's for damn sure.
Well, what I'm saying is with the Eratosthenes claimed experiment is that it has to be a flat plane to measure an angle to begin with. So
That's correct.
you're taking the observer out of it. You're not working with tangential geometry. You're just working with a flat plane and angles.
Maybe the clue's always been in his name, right? I always found it very weird that a glober would call himself Flat Earth Math, right? So maybe the clue's in the name. Maybe you knew the whole time you need a flat Earth to make any of these measurements in the first place.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chocolate, because he's done
Because
right
why the
now.
hell? Yeah. What are you doing?
Begging the question, assuming the Earth's a sphere in the first instance, and then moving forward with his fundamentalist religious presupposition that he can draw straight lines to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon to make it a tangent point, so he can justify the straight line that the tangent gives him without having to utilise the curved line underneath that needs an R value he hasn't got. Furthermore, the straight line to the horizon, that tangent, is no longer acquirable. It's all refracted at a rate of R that he also hasn't got.
Nathan, you have to remind him that tonight it's going to be 2022 at the strike of midnight. So I think you need to remind him what year we're in. It is no longer 2015 and 2016. We're on you, buddy.
Yeah, he obviously stepped away from the arena while they lost, and now he's stepping back in to have his head removed by me. Yep, I'll wait for your invite, Charles. I'll be as polite as you like while I remove your nuts and force feed them to you by asking you where you get a curved adjacent and you describing a straight flat line you call a tangent while you haven't got an R to justify the sphere underneath it. That's a flat baseline. It's called an elevation angle, Charles. I'll be asking you all about them. Still no answers to my questions. A tangent requires R, so that's not an answer to my second question, Charles. You failed miserably. You said you didn't need R. Now you're talking about tangent bases that need an R sphere underneath them. You failed miserably, Charles, because drawing a tangent, that's a straight flat line. So you can't measure an angle from a curved adjacent then, Charles. You have to draw a tangent line to an assumed sphere with an R value you don't have. That's still using a straight line, Charles. It's not using a curved adjacent, and the ground beneath your feet's curved. Unlucky, loser.
Nathan, I just figured something out. Between the black swan and the sextant destruction, it's checkmate. They can't go nowhere.
Correct.
Game freaking over.
It's the proverbial rock in a hard place. You spent so much time telling us everything's refracted always, all the time, everywhere.
Yeah.
Because we have an atmosphere. all of a sudden, that's a problem. Because now you need straight lines.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Straight lines that they make with tangents.
Burns.
Yeah, tangents. That's a straight line, right? Yeah. Only yesterday, Charles was telling Chemo all about how refracted those lines to the horizon are. Yet now he wants to draw out geometric straight lines. Oh, really? All right. So we're just going to forget that it's all bent lines in atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, never a straight line ever. All right, because now you need a straight line, do you? A tangent? All right, yeah, you'll need an R for that, though. You haven't got one.
Well, the black swan was checkmate. They can't enter the argument now with the curved adjacent. They can't approach the topic.
So when am I going on your show, Charles, to get no answers like I've got no answers here, for you to lie to my face and tell me you don't need R, only to then draw a tangent to an R-based sphere that you definitely need an R for? When's that going to happen? We're going to set this up or what?
Typing in the chat that all spheres have a radius.
Yeah.
I should screenshot that and blast it on your screen.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Ask in my chat, anybody show an example of me lying? What about the former example where you say don't need R and now you tell us all about how you need R? Yeah? No, not double speak, just lies. Yeah, you do need R. But you can't get it anymore, given that you've told Chemo how refracted the lines to the horizon are. What's that? Tangent to the horizon, you say? What, straight line? Well, what about all that refraction? Is it very close to the geometry? That'd be the R that you said you didn't need, you fucking liar. I'm sure that apple hasn't fallen far from the tree, and you can see it in his eyes, can't you? When he gives you that smug little grin and lies to your face, Charles. That's because you're a liar. So he'll be a liar, or she'll be a liar. Little Mercury will be a liar just like you. Yeah? And they'll grin and smirk at you when they lie to you. And you'll know why they do it. Because that's what you do, Charles. Tell people you don't need R. It's never even required for discussion. Not needed. But if I'm going to draw a straight line, actually refracted, because I told Chemo it was all refracted. Well, if I draw a straight line, that's a tangent to an R-based sphere that I don't need R for. Even though all spheres need an R, that's just part of having a sphere-based claim. Yeah, you're a liar, Charles. I really want to say it to your face, though. So we need to set this up, Charles, so I can call you a liar to your face. Really polite, like. I promise I won't swear, raise my voice, but I will call you a liar on camera while you're smirking at me. I want to do that, Charles. I really want to set it up. Your terms, don't care where.
Nathan, you're saying you would go on his show?
Charles is an old friend. I've interviewed Charles. We go way back. I know how reasonable Charles is. And what he'll do when he's absolutely pinned up against the wall by me. He'll do what he's doing now. Cower in the chat and squirm and lie. And smirk. That's what Charles does. When he's absolutely pinned up against the wall, he smirks. And grins. Yeah?
And apparently brings his children into the argument for no damn reason.
Discusses little Mercury. Rather than explaining how you can get an angle from a curved adjacent, he describes an R-based tangent. Straight line. Nothing to do with the surface, that's tangents. Nothing to do with the surface, Charles. And you haven't got any straight lines, they're all refracted, mate. Fuck are you on about? Are you thick?
I think he's talking about his child's name, Mercury, because he's trying to convince himself that he's still on a sphere. That's what it is.
Mercury's real, Neil.
There is no reason to bring your kids into this argument. That's just perverse.
Right, if you can't explain how, other than drawing a straight line that you can't get on a sphere because all the lines to the horizon are refracted, but geometrically you need a straight line to measure an angle, so you'll draw one that has absolutely nothing to do with the ground. It only meets it at one point. But obviously that requires a straight line that they don't have anymore. They're all refracted. And it also requires there to be a sphere underneath that straight line that's nothing to do with the angle being measured that they can't justify because they can't get an R value. You know, the one that's close to the refracted one. Where do they get that from? Oh, well, they don't. Because they'd need the horizon to be a tangent point, like he's asserting with the R-based sphere underneath it, when he says it doesn't need R. Oh, the tangled web of lies we weave, Charles. Great New Year's show.
Oh man, it's a beautiful way to round it up, huh?
Yeah. Excellent way to
Sounds
round
like
out
nothing.
2020. Didn't even need you here, Charles. Just needed everybody to be absolutely abundantly aware that you'd had the questions put to you, they'd been pinned in your own show while you were discussing how refracted the curvature was, you know, the R-based refraction in atmosphere that makes it close to the geometric horizon, the one you discussed with Chemo and then lied about here. Yeah, I didn't even need you here to point out how much of a liar you are. Did I, Charles? It was real easy. Yeah? The good thing about chat stream is it's permanently documented, Charles. Oh, they were your words, weren't they? So when you lie, people can study the lie really closely, Charles. You know, like not needing R and stuff.
When somebody calls you out the way you're calling him out, I don't know. I'm coming on the show and I'm defending myself. What's going on?
And then you got the gang over here. You go in the chat, you got Blue Marble, Science, you got Professor Phil or Just Phil. Like, the gang is all here, huh?
Yeah, strength in numbers, eh?
Come in Discord.
Strength in numbers. Maybe a few of them can tell us about the tangent. Not one that they can acquire, obviously, given everything's refracted, but the geometric straight line they'll need to measure an angle. And the sphere underneath it that they can't get an R to justify, and therefore they're just left with a straight line. That'll be a flat Earth.
I think they might be using gang tactics, show of force, so that you try to portray strength, so that people don't smell the blood in the water.
Oh, we've been smelling blood in the water.
Yeah.
Blood in the water.
Yeah, there's blood in the water, right? It's just not ours.
What do you think these old cats are showing up now? Is it now Flat Earth Bath is back? Last time I was here, it was Highlander. Like, they're just crawling out from the woodworks because they know they're done.
Well, because hippos don't look fierce. You know, they look kind of cute until you jump in the hippo pond. Then you see how vicious they are.
I don't know, guys.
Maybe they are celebrating New Year together.
And then to top it off, right? I know you're about to end the show, Nathan, but I had to. I saw the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. So scrolling through YouTube, and there's a video. I think it's Rachie, and she's got a video of Sean Hawkins with probably the greatest thing I've ever heard from a Glober's mouth. He says that even though the moon is a quarter the size of the Earth, you can fit 2 Earths inside a crater on the moon. He said that with a straight face into a camera and recorded it and put it out somewhere and said that to the world.
Unbelievable. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Like the bums I used to see in the street. It's kind of sad, actually.
Well, yeah, think about this, Chocolate. What would you need to keep believing in Santa? You'd have to be insane, right? As an adult.
I don't know. Maybe you can convince yourself that Santa's, real because you see it all over the place when Christmas is around and people talk about him and people still dress like him. Maybe you can convince yourself. I don't know. But that level of stupidity is beyond me, man. Like, what the hell? And I'm like, he didn't say that. Like, really? Like, he didn't. That's not like a real statement. But he seemed to be serious in saying that. And I don't know. Like, if you're, I don't know what's scarier. If you're
Is he applying shrinkage? Did the Earth go into a cold pool? We got shrinkage going on?
I don't know, man. It's great.
It's just his mind falling apart, That's all it is.
I don't know.
When you have something pointed out, like if you have a contradiction you're trying to hold and it keeps getting pointed out, that has to, work on your cognitive ability.
How do you make it in the world thinking like that, though? Like, what
He won't if he keeps thinking like that. He'll end up in a mental institution if he keeps thinking like that.
Well, that's the last stop, yeah. That's where they're going to wind up. That's right.
Shout out to Sasha for the super chat. He says, when I grow up, I don't want to be Charles. And shout out to Godzilla 37. He says, next year's resolution for Nathan, I'll stop missing Gord's super chats. Lol. I did miss it too in the live show. Sorry, Gord. He knew I'd miss that. He knew it.
2022 is going to be a great, great year. It's starting out with a bang already.
It'll be great for somebody.
If I walked up to you and said, listen, the car that I drove to work this morning, right, I can fit in my pocket. Like, would you call the ambulance for me? Or like what? would you call somebody or tell me I'm okay? Like, how would I make a statement like that and get away with it? These people just make statements like that and put it on live streams and shit.
Sometimes
and they just
I did actually see it. It was released by Rachel a few days ago. And when I first watched it, what went through my mind is he actually miles more intelligent than we give him credit for? And what he's realised is, no matter how batshit insane the nonsense he spews is, the general rule, the status quo, is that as a globe believer, you'll be tapped on the back and commended because you're saying A, flat earthers are idiots, and B, no matter what the nonsense is, Earth's a sphere at the end of it. So even Prof. Phil Bell will come along and tap him on the back when he says, what is it, water vapour isn't a gas? Yeah, Phil Bell will be there, side by side with him, going, yeah, stupid flat earthers.
yeah, buddy.
So maybe Sean is actually an insider. He's actually a flat earther, and he's in there.
You're probably right.
He knows
you're probably
that.
right, because he if you go in the comment section, right? None of the Globers actually said or agreed that what he said was ridiculous, right? They just they instead attacked her, I guess, for putting the video out there.
Yeah, they'll have sacked her, of course. That goes without saying, standard fare. Doesn't matter how stupid it is.
The worst they got was saying, well, it's just as stupid as you saying flat or Earth is flat. Like, that's as much of a admittance that it is ridiculous what they're saying, because they just have to juxtapose it next to flat Earth. But none of them was just like, yeah, sure, I might be off on this, or nah, not really. Nah, none of them. You guys are
maybe
that's how he could redeem himself as like a total genius, just out to mess with globe earthers, right? If that turned out to be the case, I'd want to shake his hand. If it was like, I realised early on that it didn't matter how stupid the stuff I said was, they'd agree with me and go along with it, and sometimes even verbalise it verbatim. And it was brilliant. I could just get professors to say the dumbest shit you ever heard just by saying it, convincing myself in the camera that I meant it as an actor, meant that I could get professors to literally agree with the dumbest shit you've ever heard.
Is that like?
Yeah, but only for 2 days though. After 2 days, they figure it out though. Same thing with the gas.
Again, if you were Sean and you were like, on one occasion, I got a professor to say water vapour isn't gas, and I got him to do it for 2.5 days.
A professor that studies water, apparently. Even better.
I doubt it. I think he's just thick.
What about Brenda? She might be a flat earther too. Then some of the shit that
I was going to give that as the next example once that as it's tailed off. So if you want to see an example of this chocolate, the best example, the quintessential example, is Dr. Bob and Brenda are having a conversation with each other, and they fall into this completely non sequitur conversation about two totally different things, but they're constantly agreeing with each other.
How did it know to be food? Yeah. It was brilliant. It's like, what?
You're smarter than me, he said. You're even smarter than me.
Yo.
Yep, if you're a globe believer, as long as you say, and therefore the Earth's a globe at the end, you can state the biggest pile of nonsense horse shit ever, and everyone around you'll go, yeah, it's about right. It's about right.
You might be actually right, man. Maybe Sean is a lot smarter than we think, because he got his entire he got Rachel's entire comment section full of Globers to either agree with him or be on his side in that argument that he stated that even though the moon is a quarter of the size of the Earth, you can fit 2 Earths in a crater on the moon. Bro,
what did Rachel say? What did she say to that?
She didn't need to say anything. She didn't say a word.
That's all she did.
Wow.
She just played it and said, okay, there you go. She didn't need to say anything. It's him on camera saying it.
Brilliant. She is ace.
And if you go down, let me go find the video, because this is just
Nathan, if you take out all bullshit what was in your show, you can write a really good book.
Someone in the
And
chat said that's why Charles is here. That's why Charles is here,
will be
according to
better
someone in
than
the chat.
Monty Python ever if you if you make that.
That's what the videos
Like
are for.
live.
They document this history.
Yeah.
So someone was
yeah.
saying there's a show of force in the chat. Well, that show of force, while it might be from the peanut gallery, they used to do that when they thought they were winning. They'd pile in here to ridicule us en masse, and they'd kick everybody out till there was 10 Globers and me.
I'm not watching any more Monty Python because of you.
Good.
Well, that
My
was the
God,
downfall. That was when, they, like, one would attack and his followers would come. Like, you're getting the creme de la creme of anti-flat earthers right now filling up your chat. I'm saying there's blood in the water, and they're trying to, it's like hitting something you thought was invincible, but it starts bleeding. It's not invincible. You know that now. And that they're trying to put off the impression that they're still invincible.
Yeah. Well, that's what the show of force was about. If they're all shoulder to shoulder, they're all essentially saying, look, we all agree with each other, we're all here. Yeah, well, none of you are helping him. None of you are actually going to dig Charles out of the little hole he's got himself into, declaring that the horizon's refracted. He's got into the arguments and the rebuttals immediately on his return. He's been back about half a month. And he's already saying the horizon's refracted, but yet we've got tangents to the horizon for when I need a straight line and a flat baseline to measure an angle to the sun. So he's immediately screwed. That didn't take long. Sure, having blue marble there with your help, though, eh, Charles? Did that make you feel better?
Well, see, the thing is, I don't think they're worried about this small corner of us. What they're worried about is...
So why are they in here?
Well,
That's what I want to know.
Because they need to make sure what we're talking about. They need to make sure everything is kosher. Like, what?
Yeah, that's my question.
They're worried
I
about
have no desire to go to a ball station.
John's trying to make a point. Just don't remember him for a sec. Go ahead, John.
Sorry.
They're worried about the question catching fire. They want to stomp it out quick. That's what it is. They recognize the problem.
How?
They're scared to death of the problem, and they want to shut it down as fast as they can.
By trying to throw a cup of water on a burning building. That's
How? That's
basically
what I'm
they're doing.
saying. How are they going to shut it down? They got
Building's
nowhere
already
to
on
go.
I'm saying that's what the show of force was about. It was an attempt to shut it down, and it failed miserably, but it was still an attempt.
It did it to me in Charles's chat yesterday. So as soon as I started asking him questions, suddenly there's one or two people. So you just see at Nathan Oakley 1980, and it suddenly highlights it so you can see it clearer that someone's asking you a question in someone else's chat. Well, by the end, when I'm leaving the chat going, because I've got what I wanted, he's pinned my question with that thumbnail I sent you all. Let's just bring that up. So he's pinned it to his comments. I know he's seen my question. That's it. I've got what I needed. Right, but by the time I'd got this, I got every single next comment with my name tagged in it. I'm like, yeah, share your pain, say my name. So there it is.
Must be painful.
I've got it up on screen just for the audience's benefit. So, just so Charles knows, 2 points I will require answers for. 1, where did you get the R for the atmospheric refraction he claimed? And that would be the contextualized with him telling Chemo that the refracted horizon's very close to the geometric horizon. I'm paraphrasing. And 2, how did he measure the angle to the sun with a curved adjacent? Well, we got his answers. Answer number 1. I don't need R. Never needed it. What do you mean R? What R? There is no R. R? Who's ever said R? That was his first lie. To answer question 1. No R needed. Answer to question 2. I'll draw a tangent to an R-based sphere I've not justified because we don't need R. It wasn't a lie or anything. But I'll draw a tangent. That's a flat baseline, nothing to do with the ground, and everything to do with a sphere beneath it that I haven't got an R value to put beneath that straight, flat baseline. So you'll measure it flat, Charles. Oh, well, thank you. So answer to question 2, tangent line. Well, it's only a tangent if it's got a sphere beneath it, and it hasn't. So it's just a straight, flat baseline then. Thanks, Charles. Welcome to Flat Earth. And also, you don't need R. Oh, welcome to Flat Earth.
Snacks in the back.
Nobody ever claimed spheres had a radius.
Who claims that the base of the mountain is flat or not curved?
It's who's claiming the base of the mountain's curved. You are!
You can't make this stuff up, man. It's great. Who claims you could see this obvious thing that you're supposed to be able to see called coriolis? Who claims you could see that again? Oh, you do? Oh.
You only made it through 2 housekeeping
Globe-believing
questions on that
Muppet.
show,
I think when it was first basically discussed and animated, like in the 60s, when it was first animated, what a rotating sphere would be like with the Coriolis effect, I think that all the globers in the world immediately started realizing, wait, we shouldn't expect to see deviation, unlike this model that they present, right?
Was it ever animated though to actually show an object being able to have that apparent drift?
Yes.
I mean,
well, animated, it's an animation.
Where is that
not
ever
real, right?
Where
It's
was that ever animated? Where is that ever shown?
like in those 70s videos where you hear the old man explaining. Like there's all these videos about that.
You heard in
I
chocolate
got
70s videos.
I got a response to the Coriolis thing. We wouldn't expect to see drift because if Earth was a non-inertial turning reference frame, Newtonian mechanics would break down.
You've not got one of those time traveler DVRs, chocolate. Just go back to the 70s, watch them videos. What's your problem?
Yeah.
They had to change. Hello, everyone. Hey, Nathan.
Hello.
They had to change their claim of Coriolis effect. The original claim was Coriolis effect. They had to change it when things like airplanes turned up because it didn't happen for airplanes. So they had to change the whole thing around and come up with globiolis.
That's a big problem when one of the first examples used by their side in making these claims is airplanes. Funny, huh?
Yeah, that's how they do it though, eh? They don't actually make a claim. They just say, airplanes prove Earth spinning.
Yeah, because...
Or they generalize it a little bit more when they say anything flying or flowing over a rotating surface will show this apparent deviation, but anything does not include airplanes. So, and balloons and anything else because we never see it. Thanks.
Right, it's only bullets and footballs being thrown.
Yeah,
Well,
air.
The contradiction... Swan, sorry, Eli, go on. You're talking now.
No, I was just adding also air itself.
Yep.
But the contradiction comes from they say that we see a sunrise and a sunset and we see the movement of the stars, and this is all across the sky, east to west, right? Every night. And they say that's all because we are rotating west to east. But they also say that airplanes and helicopters and drones and hot air balloons are conserving the momentum right of a rotating globe. Now, to conserve angular momentum, you need to actually be attached to the surface. You don't conserve it when you're not attached. As any child who was ever on a roundabout and left go will tell you, because what happens then is you get flung off at an angle in a straight line away from it. So their claim is nonsense from the start because it contradicts their sunrise and sunsets. When they say airplanes don't exhibit the coriolis effect going east to west, right, or anything going west to east, that it supposedly conserves the momentum of the rotating globe. Now, they come up with then globiolis, which is airplanes having to deviate when they're going straight north or south because they're going over a different latitude that has a different miles per hour momentum, right? Miles per hour has absolutely nothing to do with linear or angular momentum. Angular momentum means that no matter what shape the volume of the body is, if it's turning at 5 degrees or 15 degrees an hour, then the whole lot of it is turning at that exact same rate. So that's what they had to do, and they came up with a way of just using maths to show a mathematical north-south deviation that no airline pilot ever accounts for. And I pulled George Netchuk on this years ago. I said, what about flights from London to Lagos? And I showed, and I actually had him show without realizing what he was doing. He got the exact speeds that they take when they're flying all these flights from London to Lagos. He got, I think it was 16 flights, and they all had an average flight speed of 470 or 457 or something miles per hour. And if you work out the exact distance between London and Lagos, which is north-south, London to Lagos, Nigeria, that's total north-south flight. It takes the exact time it would take if they flew at that exact speed. And Ranty, I remember I was on Ranty's show, and Ranty started laughing his head off because George showed how there was no drift. You know what I mean? Because you know all these maths to try and disprove what I said. And he showed how there was zero drift because the plane got to where it was supposed to go at the speed it was going with that distance. So it's complete nonsense. But lately, a video I made, and I think there's a lot of people don't get this. Their claim that the air, right, what they call the atmosphere, right, which is air attached to the outside of an object, not the inside, not on the inside, that moves in lockstep with a rotating surface, right, that's rotating underneath it. Now, if I jump up, I'm told I will conserve the momentum of this rotating globe, right? And airplanes do the same thing. So if an airplane is flying from the east coast of the United States to the west coast of the United States, it takes off at the east coast, right? How can it go to the west coast if it has to conserve? If it's conserving the rotation, the east to west rotation of a globe, or west to east, rotation of a globe.
Initially, it flies backwards. QE's not here to regale us with one of his stories where he's had a baller up against, or an anti-flat earther against the wall, and they've literally declared that the plane flies backwards.
I know that one. Danny T claimed it flies backwards, but this is even worse though, because what I'm pointing out is to get to their destination on the west coast, they have to fly against the rotation of the earth underneath them. Otherwise, they'd never get there. Because if they take off, whether they fly backwards or just stay stationary in the air, if they're being brought along by the air itself, they could never get to the west coast without flying against it, the rotation underneath them. So consequently, there would be no west to east flights because those planes would never get there. There'd only be east to west flights, and they'd be a lot shorter. And we would always see drift.
That'd be dependent on the no, not necessarily. Hold on. Depends how you are on the sphere. Depends on the longitude, right?
No, I'm talking about longitude that they're talking about is only north south. I'm talking about their claim that we don't see drift east to west and west to east. Though we would see drift within their claim of an atmosphere that moves with a rotating globe. We would always see it of any aircraft flying east to west because it has to fly through the air that's moving with the globe underneath it. It has to fly against that rotation to get to its destination.
No, I agree.
The proof.
But the bit I disagree with is the planes, you're saying they'll never get to their destination. No, it depends how far north or below the equator south you are, because obviously the rotation rate they're claiming, if you ignore their switcheroo with degrees and just assert it as the actual rim velocity in miles per hour, well, the higher up you are, the slower that is. So you could easily overcome it if you were higher up in the north on the sphere.
No, I think you're mixing it up. You're talking about their globulus claim, where that's a north to south claim. They claim that we never see east to west drift because the plane is conserving the momentum of the Earth via and so is the air. Sorry, the air is conserving the momentum of the rotating globe, west to east, and so the plane is conserving it. And that's why Danny T said that the plane takes off and flies backwards. No.
Yeah, no, I get that. Let me just explain. Let me just try once more. Let me just have one more go. Okay, right. So you've got a plane takes off from the equator. Let's just, for easy numbers, say 1,000 miles an hour is going to be the rim velocity of the Earth that they're claiming is turning beneath the plane and is going to be retained as this Danny explanation with it going backwards, right? So the plane takes off, it retains the rim velocity. So it's now going backwards 1,000 miles an hour, essentially, right? And it's got to overcome that velocity, right? Well, it can only get up to 500 miles an hour. Therefore, net difference is going to be 500 miles an hour backwards. Right, it's never going to get there. That example stands. Go up to where the rim velocity is 200 miles an hour. Claim. Yeah? Well, then you can go beyond that speed. I'm just saying that part of the argument, just don't say that because it's wrong.
No, you're missing the point.
I am missing the point, but that bit is still wrong. I do get the point. I just want to point out that bit's wrong, and I don't want someone else, a fundy, to point out how that bit's wrong. And because they've proved that, no, the edge velocity is different as you go further north, even though you're saying, no, I'm using this in a defence to someone that says there's no Coriolis to see when travelling west, right?
Yeah, no, the rim velocity thing, that only applies in their claim north to south. When you take off, doesn't matter if it's at the equator. Let's say it's the equator, right? The point is, this is my argument, right? Airplanes do fly from the east coast to the west coast of America all the time, every day. And the only way they could get there within that claim is to fly against through all this air that's moving with the rotation of the globe underneath them. The only way they could get from point A on the east to point B on the west is to fly through it. So within their own claim, there could be no way possible that you could not see the drift of the airplane.
Agreed.
Going
absolutely
east and west.
Correct. There's no way you can get around it. As soon as they're claiming that you're retaining the velocity, then you've got two separate reference frames. Ergo, drift must be experienced from the ground as you watch that plane. And a consequence would mean that it's obviously got the second reference frame applicable. Earth turning underneath it. All the things that you'd expect to cause the consequences of shortened flights in one direction and lengthened flights in the other. And yeah, to retain the velocity, two reference frames required, still need drift. You don't see any end of claim. It's a shrift way of getting through that claim, Brian. I love it.
Yeah, my point is that if you use the reality is planes do go from the east coast to the west coast of America every day in straight lines, then the only way for them to do that is to fly through all this air that's moving past them at 1,000 miles an hour. Do you know what I mean? Let's say if they fly at the equator or they're flying across the states, whatever speed they want the state that is. The point is they have to be flying at a different rate to the air that's moving along with a rotating earth underneath them. Because we know the flights like I would say to a bowler, our flights getting from the east coast of America to the west coast of America every day, North Carolina to Los Angeles every day. Yeah, right. So that means they have to fly through this air that's supposed to be rotating, conserving the angular momentum of the globe that's rotating underneath it. So there is no way for us not to see drift if that is happening. Do we see drift? Do airplanes get from the east coast to the west coast of America? Yeah.
Yes.
Do we see drift of those planes?
No.
Yeah. Then your claim is bullshit. So
Right.
that's my point.
No, it's good. It's good. As QE's arrived, I don't know if he's listening or not, but I'm going to give him props because something happened yesterday that's never happened before in our household, which is to say I watched QE's Prof. Phil Bell edited video, and it was great. You know, I listened through and I had it on quite loud because I was doing various things in the house, which meant as a byproduct, all four of us were listening to it. And there's a point in the video where Prof. Phil Bell is being asked for scientific evidence of a sphere, and he goes on rambling about satellites and this and that. And QE has edited in sounds of somebody snoring, right? And for the first time in this household, I kid you not, all four of us, me, my wife, and both my daughters, all laughed at the same time. So normally, we don't find the same things funny. You know, one of us will laugh and one, you know, might be one of the others will laugh, but, you know, not all four of us at the same time for the same thing. So we're all in the background listening to it. I'm listening to it closely. Phil Bell video, and then when this guy's going ramble, 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 and then QE's cut in, all of us laughed. So I thought a very good bit of the video, and YouTube thought so too because they put an advert in the middle of that because they normally pick a good bit to put an advert in, and that's where they put their ad. So I was like, yeah, I agree. Good placement of an ad, good bit to break at the video so you want more after the ad. Good.
Great video, though, right?
Yeah. QE was saying before I watched it, I don't like video editing. I'm not very good at. Yeah, you are. That was brilliant. I can't do that. Comedic timing like that. That's talent. You got to have an instinct for that sort of stuff. QE's got it.
Got people copying him too. Hillbilly Blue Balls is a copycat, just like this guy stole Anthony's jokes. They're stealing QE's method of comedy during a video. I don't like it.
Don't be so
Don't
shocked.
they have a mind of their own?
No, don't be so shocked. They are drones, right? They want to be told how to parrot and what to parrot. And if they feel they've got a higher degree of intelligence, they'll revise it more, what they're going to be parroting and how they're going to be parroting it. But they are all essentially just drones and parrots, incapable of new and useful thought and only capable of recycling stuff. So yeah, the fact that they imitate and copy and plagiarise, that's not shocking to me at all. That was kind of what I thought everyone got when I was pointing out Anthony saying that someone had stolen his joke. That was the underlying reason I brought that up, but no one really got it. But there we go.
Got it now.
It's only normal, Neil.
I get it.
It's only normal. This happens all the time. That's why when we push the ballers on the facts, that's why they eventually end up asking us what their claim is, right? Because they are copycats, and when they know they're broken, they're like, "Give me input. I need to correct model."
and that's the same reason they demand. Well, how does your flat Earth work with this, that, and the other? It's like if somebody that in that moment was the right guru with the right answers, that person would fall hook, line, and sinker for that guru, and follow them to the ends of the earth. You know, they might be starting out going, well, how do you explain it? But if that person happened to have good enough answers to satisfy their questions, that would become their guru. You're like, well, you haven't taken the main benefit from this arena, if that's the case. If you're just looking for the next guru to give you all the answers, well, how are we going to answer what the sky is? Do you mean, what the fuck are you talking about, we? What's this we? Don't involve me in your problems and your questions. I got my own. I'll be looking at my questions and trying to figure out how to answer them. I won't be looking around for a guru to answer them for me. And if someone comes and offers answers, I'll be very sceptical. Why? Well, because I've been duped once. So I ain't out looking for someone else to dupe me, thanks. But a lot of people are. That's the only thing there. And if they're anti-flat earther, they're definitely not at the stage where they can be told this. Because as far as they're concerned, they're not only not looking for a new guru, they're looking to demolish whatever that new guru comes out with. But it doesn't change what I'm saying. If that guru had the right answers for them, they'd follow them.
Well, because ballers have no original ideas. That's the problem.
That's obvious.
Never got an original idea. Outside of tactics, they don't have anything original. They're always stealing something we do. And just on Kiwi's video, yeah, I heard him say to you on the show that he wasn't very good at editing. I think he's brilliant at it. I was in the utensils aisle of Tesco's, and I started laughing when he started snoring, because that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, oh, here we go again, a load of waffle from Phil.
Well,
And the snoring came on, and I started laughing.
That's what made it so genius, because up until that point, right, I've described it already. I was intently paying attention to the video, and it was all very good points being made with good examples. I'm like, no, you're stacking this up well. You've got your asides and your descriptions and your sarcasm. They're all in there. This is good. And then it got to the bit with Phil, and it's a bit longer. It's not your normal 2 or 3 lines, the statement that's making the point, and then QE's commentary. It's just that little bit longer. And my brain started to drift when the snoring started, right? So, timing in terms of the comedic essence of it, the emotion I started to feel, God, this is a bit boring. That's why it was so funny.
That's exactly how it happened with me, too. Exactly how it happened with me.
Well, it was brilliant. So he basically left the sound bite open extra long, specifically to communicate how boring it was.
Yeah.
So it's just really great editing then.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're saying. Because he criticises his own editing, saying he doesn't like it, doesn't think he's good at it. It's like, I don't know. I've got not a single video that I could produce that I've got a funny bit in that I think's amusing that I'd share with all my kids and my wife and have them all even pretend to laugh, let alone actually burst out laughing. But because it was a funny soundbite, both the kids laughed and started asking, "Why is he snoring?" And I had to explain it's a very boring man, Eleanor.
Yeah, but this is not new. He's been doing this with the numpty clips. Except that was audio. You're saying now this is a video, but it's the same thing, really. he's been killing it with the editing on the numpty clips. A lot of which, yes, I still gotta watch, but yeah.
Maybe thinks it's the
ones
video.
that I've seen are great.
The video's unimportant for the most part. You need something visual thrown up there, and yeah, we could all be better at producing the video. Most of what people are experiencing, the majority is the sound, the auditory experience, the words. That's the importance. Yes, there's going to be visual spectaculars on YouTube, but what we deal with, other than the pretty pictures the heliocentric model provides, which are pretty, I'm not going to deny what the heliocentric model is. It's a great fantasy, and it's got some pretty images to go with it. But they get boring really quick, and then it just boils down to what you're discussing, the subject matter. Now, when you've got a fairly dry subject matter, he's being asked for scientific evidence that Earth's a sphere. The point is he hasn't got any. Well, that's a fairly dry point. To turn it into something truly humorous, that's a talent. I normally hate all that. So I told Anthony not to do it because he was doing whiz bangs and sound effects and stuff. And I'm like, ugh, it's horrible. It's so cheesy. And it really bugged me. And I was like, don't do it. It's horrible. I hate it when other people do it. But QE does exactly that. In other words, there's a fine line between it being truly distasteful and cheesy and actually making you laugh. It's a fine line.
It's
Sleeping Warrior makes me laugh too, though.
Yeah.
I like his videos.
But with QE, it really works because we know, like, QE is actually tortured by all this. You know how he gets when a numpty is in here and it drives him nuts. So that pain almost fuels the comedy magic that he makes. With Anthony, he's just trying to be funny, but his heart is not there. He's not actually being tortured by it.
Yeah, that's
like
exactly
QE.
right.
That's what makes it work.
Yeah, generally numpties are deeply offensive to QE. Not this situation, but numpties. Right, that's why they're called the numpty clips. And you've got to have that passion. It's like, did anybody ever see the American Dad episode where the alien tries to become a country singer and he can't do it? So he goes and marries a really ugly woman and moves in with her 5 kids or however many they've got in her trailer and lives the shit life for a bit. Then he goes and tries to sing a song. And he can do it then because he's singing about how ugly and horrible his life is. And people can relate because it's obviously coming from a place that's real, right? Well, the same is true with comedy. If you can pull from an experience that you've got a really, fiery passion for, you can instill humour into it. Through that passion. Whereas if you're trying to make something funny, you'll fail.
Yeah, you have to have sarcasm, and this is why I tend to always puns. You have to have sarcasm as a way of dealing with the frustration of dealing with stupidity. You know, like it's sarcasm that does that. And that's why QE, like that is a release of, like it's either get angry or be sarcastic about it. Same with 10th Man. He either has to get angry about it or pun, because, and I talked to him about this. You can ask QE, or ask, not QE, sorry, you can ask 10th about this. 10th admitted to me that his puns are purely down to frustration. You see, it has to come out either a bad way or a good way. You're not going to way, because he's either going to shout and scream curses at it, or you know, or you're going to be comedic about it, you know. And when you're comedic due to sarcasm that's born out of frustration, there's no better. Like, you know, when you're in bad humor and you end up being, you know, you're pissed off or whatever, you end up saying something and you say it sarcastically, there's no greater sarcasm. You just ruin somebody. You're not going to, as opposed to shouting something at them that is aggressive. You could say something just sarcastically, or if you're just giving out in general about something. When your sarcasm comes out there, it's finely tuned. You know, you need that. And that's why people like John Cleese and people like that, they can't be funny now like they once were, because they don't have the same level of frustration. You know, all these comedians, they lose their frustration levels. So they end up not having the same comedy, you know, because that's what comedy is. Yeah.
Because they're too much at peace.
Yeah, you can't be funny in that piece. It doesn't work.
I would like to point out that this conversation about humor is the least funny thing I've heard today.
Yeah, I'll agree. This needs the snore soundtrack over the top of it, doesn't it? But we're blowing a lot of smoke up QE's ass, so if he's around, did you want to give your acceptance speech, QE?
He's making breakfast. I can about guarantee that.
Fair enough. Well, he's not going to get to give any acknowledgement then. Tough luck, because with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video and in 2022.
What a lovely day!